Hey guys, what's up? Jen Graves here doing another tag video for y'all. This time it comes from a really good batch of people, really good friends. I mean, great. I don't think I can actually say that enough about them because they're such great people. They do so much already in our community, and I love talking to them. I mean, they are just awesome. So we are doing this. It's a movie tag from Neon and Nova. So let's get into it. All right. So question 1: what's your favorite movie genre? My favorite movie genre, I would probably have to say, is like action adventure. I always like watching stuff like that. And actually, like my DVD case, I mean, like some of the ones that I watch all the time are like Lord of the Rings, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the Hobbit from like the 1978 or whatever release that's kind of animated, Harry Potter, Reign of Fire, 10,000 BC, 300. I mean, anything that's kind of war related, Saints and Soldiers. I mean, all that is stuff that I really like, and that's something that I kind of grew up with from my dad and whatnot. Being in the Air Force and whatnot, and him kind of liking all that stuff. So, that was one of the things that I really enjoyed growing up, and I ended up doing like my own research on different things. I know many of the different swords that are out there in the world from different time periods and whatnot. Not so much what time period it was used in. I'd probably get like close to like explaining what it was. But I mean, Braveheart was another one, a lot. So, then, what was the last movie you watched, and was it a disappointment, or was I disappointed by it? Honestly, the last one I watched today, gosh, I watched a lot today. Just because same thing, I kind of want to, even though my son is young, I want to kind of push some of that off onto him. And even though we watch, I mean, everything under the rainbow, I think it makes you kind of a better person. Short of anything like sex scenes and whatnot, I think some of the other stuff that's like scary or whatever actually help. I remember watching Gladiator when I was 8, and people getting upset like, how do you watch that? That's not even in your age range. So, but the last one I watched was God, what was it called? Goodness, I'm gonna have to figure that out. So we'll come back to question 2. What is my favorite movie of all times? I would probably have to say Reign of Fire, just because I love the whole thing with dragons. I love tanks. I love so much stuff that's in it. It is a great movie, and I mean, when I was younger, I went to go see it with my parents multiple times. We probably went to go see it once or twice a week for the first month that it was out, and then after that I probably saw it at least once a week. Like every Friday we went to go see it for like another month. So that was the big one that I really liked. Like the concept behind it, I like how it was depicted, all this other stuff, just because it was so good. But yeah, let me move this over just a little bit, guys. Trying to find that movie name too. So anyway, moving on to our next one. which is going to be, what is your guilty pleasure movie? My guilty pleasure movie that I really like watching all the time, gosh, I don't think there's just one, but I'll just think if I can pick it out. Goodness me. Probably my favorite guilty pleasure movie would have to be I'm gonna forget what this one's called too. Goodness. Okay, well, let's go back to 2 and I'll look up the thing in the meantime. So 2, what was the last movie you watched and was I disappointed in it? It was called The One I Love. No, it was phenomenal. I loved it. It was super good, and the ending had like a really weird twist to it that you had to have like really been focusing on the movie to see, to understand like why it was that way. So, I mean, it was great. I highly recommend that anybody go see it if you haven't. Just because, oh man, there was just so much good stuff about it. I feel like that was the one that actually needed to be done that way, and it had so much good stuff that was brought up into it. Phenomenal movie. I was super excited to see part of it done a certain way, and then to have twists and all this stuff. I mean, I'm a psychology major, and so having part of that too was really good, just seeing it from that, and then having it like as like almost a supernatural twist to it and all this other stuff. It was spectacular. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's on Netflix. My guilty pleasure one, guys, I don't understand how I didn't remember it. Would probably be like P.S. I Love You, which is kind of like a chick flick, but I really like the whole concept behind it, and anything that depicts more of like Europe and whatnot is stuff that I really like, because a lot of my roots and stuff are over there, and it's spectacular to know part of that. So let's see, who are your favorite film directors? Goodness. I mean, with films, I feel like it's harder to do with films. I actually enjoy more TV shows and how they're done and depicted here and there by the person, but some of that can be a little different because it might not be one person through the whole series or whatever. I mean, honestly, I'd probably have to say like one of them is probably like Jackie Chan, and some of the other people that actually like are in their actual movies. Some of it Arnold Schwarzenegger. Some of the movies that they're in, they've actually published it themselves and whatnot, or not published it. They produced it themselves, and a lot of those I feel like have come out really good. Because they want to do like a different side and let people see like, hey, I'm not all about this or that. And I mean, they're really fantastic. So I really like seeing ones that the actual person's in, because being an actor and a director at the same time is just something I feel like if you can pull that off and keep your stress level down, you're doing great. So at the same point, you kind of have that free liberty though, where you can be like, this is the 5th time I've done this crap. I am not doing it again. We're taking one of the 5 I've already done, or cutting it and figuring it out. All right, pass, move on. So that's kind of another good funny thing that people, they can hold on to and not have to worry about it. So that was number 5. Number 6, so there's 9 of these, not 8, if I said that earlier, my bad. Who is your favorite movie character? Oh god. I feel like this is probably going to be one of the hardest things. Depends on the movie, really. When it comes down to it, I kind of like the underdog people that rise into being like the main heroes. But secretly, what I found that I actually enjoy more are the characters that have kind of done the right thing, like since the beginning, and yet they still try and stick by their morals and whatnot. Ones like that would be like oh man, I can't think of. I think it's Will. Will is probably what it is. But in the movie they call him Ulrich von Liechtenstein, which is I'm fuzzing. Is goodness, Heath Ledger. There we go. Heath Ledger, he did that, and he was this upstanding knight, wanting to do better, and he held by those morals and standards that he had. Same thing with like Hector from Troy. Love that. There's a lot of other characters that do that. They hold to what they believe in their morals, and I think those are probably some of my favorite characters. Just by association alone with other stuff, they really shine, especially when they're put in a scenario where it should be different, where somebody tries to do something else, and they're like, "You're a fool," and they tell them like at the beginning of the movie, and then later on something happens, and you're like, "You should have listened. They were there the whole time telling you not to do it." So, yeah, those kinds of characters are the ones that I really like. Who is my favorite movie villain? I would say on this one it's the same character, but they were portrayed differently. I would say from Hook and from Peter Pan, Captain Hook's characters in both. Both of them had a really good thing of how they were portraying those characters, and I absolutely love those characters. Another one would be Bill the Butcher from Gangs of New York. That is another one. I love it when even though it's something and it's right there in front of you, like your enemy gives you that respect. And I feel like that's something, because on the flip side they could still have been a hero at some point. They just chose to not go that length. So really good stuff. Those are some of my favorite villains like that. They have some still moral to them, even though sometimes they cross the line here and there with it. Number 8, Star Wars or Star Trek? Star Wars. I really like Star Wars, I guess, because it seems like the movies were coming out around when I was born and whatnot. I think some of them were out way before that, but a good chunk of them I feel like were there. And yeah, Star Trek, I've seen it here and there, but I felt like I never could really get into it. So, and then number 9, if your life was adapted into a movie, who would play you and who would direct the film? With this, honestly, I feel like a good person that would play me I know I have a different screen attitude whenever I'm on here on YouTube and whatnot. I'm kind of a practical joker, though, when it comes down to it. But if a character was going to play me, I would probably want it to be like Jack Black, just because I feel like any role that he does is really good. I watched him in a movie that was pretty serious, and his little comic quirks made it super great. And then whenever things happened in it and he had to get serious, it was great. So even his like serious sides, just like watching Goosebumps and whatnot, him playing R.L. Stine, and there's still like a comedic role to it that I just love. So super great. And who would direct my movie? I mean, honestly, I would want somebody that would be able to do it right. And so I feel probably like if I asked Dustin and Megan, or, you know, if you don't know them, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, it's Neon and Nova. That's their names. I feel like you guys would do a pretty good depiction of it, you know. Just because I've seen some of your stuff and it is phenomenal. And there is a lot that I feel like people bring to the table, especially semi being from that anime, manga, movie watching background and whatnot, you know, video games, all that. So perfect like nerd movie with like the great game, you know, Easter eggs dropped and all that. You know, you're watching the movie and you're sitting there and somebody says something and you're like, I got that reference. You know, I feel like that would probably be great. You know, just because I would honestly hate too many explosions being in my movie. And I would honestly hate somebody making it seem like they had to compensate from the original work and try and put extra stuff into it. You know, you don't have to add anything. It's all there. So anyway, guys, that's it for this tag. It was, let me scroll back up real quick. I'm trying to focus on it. It was, it's the movie tag. I feel like I keep doing it that Italian style, whatever. But it's a movie tag. It is great. Like I said, it's done by Neon and Nova. And if you haven't done it, do it. Somebody to shout out for it. Talking Mike, I'm coming for you. Do this movie tag because I know you've seen a lot of movies too. And then anybody else that wants to hop into it that has seen a lot of movies, enjoys movies and whatnot, you can get into it too. I want to throw a couple honorable mention videos in there. Totally the Godzilla movies, the newer ones that came out earlier this year. And then the other one, the Kong Skull Island and Ready Player One, stuff like that. I totally love those. Those are some other guilty pleasures. But anyway, I will catch you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.